Hey, how's it going? It's been a while. Haven't done a tutorial for a while now, and I've been quite busy with other things, but I'm back and I want to show you a few things. This particular tutorial is in regards to CCNA. The requirements that you need in order to get your CCNA, and the topic of discussion today is the subnetting portion of the CCNA. There is a lot of training online. There's a lot of ways you can learn how to do subnetting, and really finding the easiest way to get through it and really understanding just the fundamentals, the basics of how to quickly understand block sizes, prefixes, because you really don't have much time in regards to answering questions in the CCNA, and you really want to make subnetting the easiest topic to get through so that you can spend maybe a little more time on other things that may be difficult. Nailing subnetting is really, really valuable for your CCNA certification. Okay, look, let's just jump straight in. I'm on a website called subnetting.net, and I found it to be really, really good. There is another website, I'll just open it up quickly, called subnettingpractice.com. Let me just move my thing over here so you can see it. I might actually just make it the size of the window. Okay, it's within the window now. So this is the other site. It's got a plethora of different types of things that you can practice with. There's obviously the practice questions, there's IPv6, there's basic subnetting. This is really good once you've learned IPv6 to test your work, whether you got the subnetting portion of it right. There's binary, which is like binary to hex, hex to binary, decimal. It's basically going backwards and forwards between those three. Learning hex is critical to learning IPv6. And also hex is really understanding how MAC addresses work. But you don't really need to know how MAC addresses work in the CCNA, but you do understand how, you need to know how hex works in IPv6. And IPv6 is becoming a bigger topic on the CCNA blueprint. There's a VLSM calculator, which is basically taking subnetting and using like a zero network and using the highest IP to the lowest IP without consuming any IP addresses. It's a way of not wasting IPs. That's what VLSM is. In this particular tutorial, we're just going to strictly concentrate on, just for this one, just subnetting. And I found this website, subnetting.net, to be the best, as in practicing how to do it. There's 3 accounts. There's two accounts. There's the free version account, which you sign up and you get a couple of things free. And then there's the pro account, which you get all the videos and tutorials of how to make subnet cheat sheets and all this stuff's basically unlocked. But when it's just like a login account, like you can log in and you just get like a couple of things free. Actually, I might see if I can find it. Where they would put that? I'll just go to here. There you go. This is the no account. So you get to subnet practice without any. This is the free account, which you get to practice and you get a couple of other things. But in the pro account, you get the whole lot for $5 a month. It's priceless, really. I mean, it's a bargain. Without dribbling anymore, let's go on to what I was making this video for. So now that you've got all this up and you can investigate it in your own time, let's move on to the subnetting practice. Also, with the subnetting pro account, you don't get the pop-up advertisement every 5 seconds, and kind of slows down execution speed. for like, because you don't really have to do anything but type in the IP address or whatever it's asking, and then hit enter, 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 enter. You don't have to do anything else but that. But when you've got the pop-ups happening, it slows it right down, and it's kind of annoying, and you don't really have any chance of doing a subnetting practice game because you have pop-ups, and in the pro version you don't, and it's all about how many you can do in 5 minutes, how many questions you can answer within 5 minutes. And as you can see, this guy here, Vladimir Revkovic, done 83. He got 83 right in 5 minutes, which is pretty freaking boss. I mean, they're all boss on this page. All this is awesome. They just know they're subnetting inside out. They probably do it like, for hours a day. The more you do it, the better you get. But the key thing to subnetting is understanding basically your slash, the CIDR, which is if it gives you, say for instance, a /25, you've got to know what that is. And as you know, the mask is a 32-bit address, so you've got 255, 255, 2550 on, say, a Class C mask, which is the 192168. And if they give you a 172.16. whatever, you've got to know when they give you a CIDR 28 how many networks that address has and how many hosts. And this is a good way to learn. To really tell you the truth, doing this is like the after of learning how to do that. Learning what I just explained about all the CIDRs, you should really do it on paper and get your head around block sizes and what a CIDR is. Like /26 will be it's a 192 with a block size of 64. /25 is 255, 255, 255, 128. The black block size of 128. Once you know all your block sizes, then doing this part is easy. Now, for those that do know the block sizes but want to practice the subnetting, well, this is a great site to go on. Look, I'll just run through a couple of demos just to give you an idea in case you don't know or you do know. It's a good intro to see what subnetting is all about and what's required for you to start learning it, and how you can go about to actually attack subnetting, because it's quite difficult, but it's really easy once you know. Alright, we'll start off with the first question. So, what subnet mask? Well, actually, we might actually do just these types of questions, which is great with this website. You have the option to press this little this checkbox here to keep practicing these types of questions. And this is probably one of the very first types of questions you want to learn, which goes back to those kind of like block sizes using subnet masks. Alright, so for instance, the first question is, what subnet mask would you use for this 172.16.00 network such that you can get 920 subnets and 50 hosts per subnet? Well, no matter what network you're using, this is the way I attack it. I always just look at this part, because this and this will always go hand in hand, but trying to work out the network before the hosts is actually harder. If you work out how many hosts is required through a subnet mask, then you've answered the question, because you've got that right, that's immediately right. Like for instance, the hosts go in block sizes of, say, you can have 2 hosts, you can have 4 hosts, you can have 8 hosts. No, this is a block size. You can have 2 hosts with a block size of 4. You can have 6 hosts with a block size of 8. You can have 14 hosts with a block size of 16. You can have 30 hosts with a block size of 32. You've always got to subtract 2 for the host portion, but the block size is basically the entire block, which includes the network and the broadcast. But when we're talking about hosts, like this question is right here, you have to subtract subtract the 0 and basically the 255 of any block size of any IP address. So it's saying what subnet mask can you use that can accommodate 50. Now, if you know binary, you know it goes up. It just keeps doubling from right to left. So you can have 8, block size of 8 with 6. You can have 16 with a block with a host of 14. You can have a block size of 32 with hosts of 30. And then from 30, it would be 64. That's the next available block size that can accommodate 50 hosts. And the way that you would write that, we'd go, okay, it would be 255, which is, as you know, there's 4 octets, okay? There's 1, 2, 3, 4. When we're dealing with this particular question for 50 hosts, you know you're dealing with the 4th octet. You wouldn't be dealing with anything here because this goes past 1,000, or goes past 256. To the next one now is 512 and doubling as you go. So we know we're dealing with only this octet, which is the last one, the 4th one. So it would be 255. We can't do. We're not interested in 255 for the first octet. We're not interested in 255 in the second octet, and we're not interested in 255 in the third octet. But we are interested in the 4th octet. Now, how do we get 50 hosts? Well, if you know your binary and you double 2 as you keep going from right to left, you start off. You go 2, you go 4, you go 8, you go 16, you go 32, and you go 64. And now the subnet mask for 64 basically is a 192, counting from 24 backwards. So if you go 255, 255, 255, 128, that is a /25, and that will give you 126 hosts, but it will be a block size of 128. If you go back another one, keep doubling as you go, well, it's not doubling from networks from left to right. It's basically 128. If you can imagine going this way, not that way, but from left to right, from say this boundary here, it goes 128, and then it goes 192, which is block size. So we start from 128, right? That will give you 126 hosts. If you go 192, that will give you 62 hosts with a block size of 64. 128 will give you 126 hosts with a block size of 128. The next size up from 192 is 224, and that's a block size of 32. If you go 32 plus 24 will be 255. It will be 256 actually, but that's the 0 and the end of the broadcast. Okay, so that's a block size of 32 with 30 hosts. The next one after 224 is 240. Okay, that's a block size of 8 with 6 hosts. The next one after that is 248. Sorry, that was incorrect. 240 is a block size of 16 with 14 hosts. 248 is a block size of 8 with 6 hosts. 252 is a block size of 4 with 2 hosts. And that's as far as you can go. You can't go any less than that, because if you go any less than that, you'll have a block size of 2, and no hosts. Like, you can't have a network, a traditional conventional network with that subnet mask. The minimum basically is that, and that's generally a point-to-point. One this side, one this side, one that side. So to answer the question, we need 50 hosts. And going back to what we talked about, well, 128 is a block size of 128, which gives us 126 hosts. It's too big. 192 is a block size of 64, which will give us 62 hosts, which is the mask. Because if we go any less than that, which is now 224, that's a block size of 32 with 30 hosts, but we need 50. So if we go 192, just to check our answer, is 192. There you go. So we'll do one more. Now it's saying, what's the subnet mask would you use for 172.27.0.0 networks such that you can get 3610 subnets and 10 hosts per subnet? Well, it's a lot easier to work with the host side. So what's the subnet mask that we need to get more than 10 hosts? Well, going back to what we talked about, 255 in the first octet's no good, 255 in the second octet's no good, 255 in the third. We're not dealing with any of those, but we're dealing with the last one. 128 will give us 126, way too many. 192 will give us 62, too many. 224 will give us 30, still too many. 240 will give us 14. And I think that's probably the answer. Because if we go 248, that's a block size of 8, gives us 6 hosts. So it's not a big enough mask. So going back to the 240, that will be right. If I submit that, that's correct. Let's just do one more. What mask do we need to accommodate for 80 hosts? Like I said, really concentrate on this. Once you get really good, you could probably look at that and know automatically what this is, but while you're learning, just concentrate on the host. It's easier that way. Excuse me. So, again, we're only dealing in the last octet. So 255, 255, 255, and now we need 80 hosts. So, going by memory, if we use the 192, that would be too small, because it would give us a block size of 64, but 62 hosts. So, what do we need? If we go 0, that will give us a block size of 256 with 254 hosts. Still too large. 128. That's a block size of 128 with 126 hosts. That will accommodate. So let's submit that. Oh, what's happening here? What's going on here? It was right anyway, but for some reason the submit button wasn't working. Alright, well, just a quick tutorial on that, and probably just a little bit too much information, but sometimes it's very relevant, because you need to understand where to start and where to finish with something. So knowing this part of the certification for CCNA is extremely important. It's just practice. That's all you got to do. Just keep practicing it. Use paper and pen and paper, or paper and pencil, or whatever. Paper and pencil is actually good because you can rub it out. And just keep practicing. Start with a class C and then move to a class B, and then when you get really good, move to a class A, and just keep doing it. Just give yourself practice questions. How many hosts do I need in a 10.0.5.36.10 network, and work it out. You can always use the calculator. There are IP calculators for IPv4 everywhere to check your work. Even on that subnetting practice, I think there's a calculator on here, subnetting calculator. There you go. So you can check your work with that. So go to subnettingpractice.com, and you can check any kind of work that you do on paper. Don't use it to actually get the answer, but use it to check your work, and that's a great way to learn. So, okay, well, that's all there is for this tutorial. Yeah, just let me know how it goes. If you got any questions, leave it in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next. Thanks for watching. See ya.